You might assume that the opposite of a toxic workplace culture is a nice culture. It isn't. Right now, there's a version of your workplace culture that leaders believe in, and there's a version of your workplace culture that team members are living, and those are not the same places. And here's what makes this hard to fix. Everyone in that workplace has a role in keeping that gap alive, whether it's intentional or not. We surveyed over 765,000 leaders about workplace culture. There are two numbers that stand in this gap that are very important to me and you today. 28% of leaders have never even assessed, have no idea about the psychological safety of their team members, that sense of belonging. They have no idea. 29% of team members don't feel safe speaking up, even when they see something that could be better. Think about that. That means a third of the workforce knows something that needs to be corrected and is just keeping it to themselves. For those of you that are interested in the complete workplace study survey, 765,000 leaders, that link is in the description, or you can go to joeyhavens.com and look under the research button. But I put my perspective on each and every finding to help us to understand what's really going on in workplace culture. Today, I want to take you through my experience of turning this around inside a company. A culture that's too nice, when people don't have candor about feedback and about problems and things that need to be corrected. A culture that's too nice is all about people avoiding hard conversation, not giving feedback. And it kind of builds on itself. Quietly, it gets stronger and stronger, that silence. And the reason is because it feels like it's something that we ought to protect. In fact, recently I was called in to help a company really get to be more high performing, to do what they needed to do to transform their business model. And one of my first observations was, you're too nice. You're simply too nice. There's no real discussion about what's working and what's not working. People are not getting feedback on how to be better. You have a false harmony and it's holding your company back. So this is how this works and how it gets stronger and stronger and becomes a cancer. People read the culture. Think about it, your team. You read the culture. How are people treating each other? How are conversations happening? Who's succeeding? What are they doing to get ahead? Who's being punished? What's the discussion at the water cooler? And you build, every person builds this book of unwritten rules. How to be successful here. What success looks like. How to get ahead and how to get behind. All unwritten. All reinforced every day. And in our workplaces, when we have this false harmony, here's what people come to believe. To be successful here, it's important to be nice. Kindness is the key to getting ahead. That's one of the highest core values here. Now, kindness is a great core value, but not having candor about things, not giving feedback, that is not kindness. But because people believe that, they avoid all of those difficult conversations. They avoid that feedback. The longer this runs, the deeper it gets. It becomes who we are. Remember, culture is the soul of your organization. It's who you really are. False harmony, that cancer becomes who you are. Here's the hard part. You're not fighting a behavior. You're fighting a belief system that's reinforced every day. In my book, Leading with Significance, I wrote about this directly. Conflict avoidance and false harmony are cancers in most organizations because they're hard to see. They eat away at culture every day. They eat away at being better every day. And the reason they're so hard to see is because they feel like kindness. Now, I have seen this as a leader and as a team member. I've experienced this blind spot. As I took over CEO role in our company, we made people first culture our top priority, and we had this big kickoff week where we really explored some of these things and got lots of feedback and lots of interaction between team members. I got hit with a blind spot. We got stopped in our tracks. From all of those small conversations came this number one trend. We had a conflict avoidance problem. We were too nice. We had a lot of false harmony going on. Now this set me back because it was a blind spot. I could not see it, just like you may have not been able to see it on your team. But remember this is a big takeaway. You can never build a strong sense of belonging. You can never have significant trust in a team and high performance if people can't tell each other the truth. So we made a decision about this, and it's harder than it sounds. We started out by naming it. We called it a false harmony and a cancer. And we called it a cancer in front of all the team members. And we made it very clear that the most uncaring thing you can do, the most unkind thing you can do, is to tolerate this conflict avoidance, to tolerate a false harmony, to not help each other be better. So then we went about on how we repair this. How do we build something different? One of our career coaches introduced us to the book, Thanks for the Feedback, which came out of the Harvard Negotiation Project. And it really takes a reverse angle on feedback. Rather than teaching people how to give feedback, the book shows you the power of teaching people how to receive feedback, to make that a positive thing. It flipped our script entirely. And it teaches you there's 3 types of feedback: appreciation, coaching, and evaluation. And very important to understand what you're receiving at the time you're getting that feedback. What this did for our company is feedback stopped being an annual event. We started having ongoing, timely feedback with more candor, a common language so people could get on the same ground. You'll never train all your people to be great at giving feedback, but the better people are at receiving it and understanding where it comes from and how it can make them be better, then you can build something that's very dynamic. And just like I encourage you to do sometimes, we measured it. A few years later, our sense of belonging, our strong sense of belonging was over 90%. 91% said it was a great place to work. And then here's the real key takeaway. 82% of our team members said they could meet their career goals in our company. Do you know how powerful that is? If 82% of your workforce believed they could achieve their full potential in your company, when we started that, it was around 20%. That's what candor and truth and timely feedback will do for a workplace culture. And through all of this, I learned 2 things. You can't fix a false harmony by communicating about it or putting a poster on the wall. You can't fix it by the old legacy. I know you've heard this. I have an open door policy. I have an open door policy. It's said in every workplace culture that has false harmony. It takes 2 things, and we all play a role in this. The first is that you have to have confidential feedback loops, not an annual survey. You've got to have small conversations, team members talking to team members, and bubble up those things that leaders are blind to. The second thing is that leaders have to go first. One, they have to lead with trust. They have to trust their team members. They have to be vulnerable when they get feedback that stings or they get feedback that creates a challenge, to not be defensive with that, to make it a positive, to celebrate team members that speak the truth in a respectful way. Leaders have to be vulnerable enough with their actions and their words that everyone can see that it is safe to walk through that open door and have a conversation. So always remember there's 2 versions of your workplace. It's the one that the leaders believe exists because they're thinking about their intentions and they have good intentions. And then it's the one that the team members are experiencing, and there's always a gap. And a lot of times in that gap is false harmony. You can't close the gap with an organization that's too nice. Now, I have a question for you. Is your team too nice? Think about that. This is a way to be better. Remember, false harmony, being nice, not having that hard conversation feels like kindness, but it's the most unkind thing you can do. I want to encourage you to have courage, because the most caring thing you can do is to be a truth teller. Use respect, curiosity, the benefit of good intentions, all of those tools to do that in the right way. But the most caring thing you can do is to help the people on your team be better, to help your team be better, help your company be better. Now, if this hits close to home for you, if this touches you in some way, please put in the comments, speak up, speak up. Let's encourage each other. Please hit the like button. I would encourage you to subscribe. We're going to continue to work on ways to reach our full potential, to make our workplace culture work where we can have thriving teams. Remember that daily journey, it's always about be better.